Shetty. Like my routine, I was on my blog one night when a message popped in. It said, I am suicidal. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests, good evening.
Good evening.
It all began in the month of May last year when I stumbled upon something that has turned out to be the most learning experience in my life. I saw it like everybody else. And like everybody else, I didn't pay attention to notice it. This text was from a 23-year-old Alex from Texas. And he said he's suicidal. And there I was, facing questions about death when I was figuring out life myself. I didn't know what to reply, but I was sure I wanted to. So I typed, "You're suicidal and you're alive. I'm so proud of you." The next night when I saw his response, I was astounded in a whole new level. He said, "Thanks. Your words stopped me from cutting myself last night. No one's ever called me proud for being myself." And instead of feeling relieved that I could be of some help, I found it hard to digest the fact that people were actually hurting themselves outside, thinking it reduces their pain inside. And I wondered how many times this person would have reached out for help and was disappointed. Though I had read and heard about depression, this was the closest I had come to witnessing it. And what happened after this has been quite an adventure. For reasons unknown, I started receiving more messages from people since then, till I realized that Tumblr had privacy issues and word limitations. People couldn't write everything they wanted to. And that's when I thought of creating a place where people can write their thoughts out through mails and they would be answered in written. And hence Hospital for Souls began. So that night I asked 5 of my Tumblr friends to write there, and they did. But what came next was a complete shock to me. The next morning, I woke up to 27 new mails from 27 different people, which was completely unexpected. The email ID had been reblocked several times and spread like forest fire in the span of 8 hours. I had too many questions flooding my mind. How did so many people get to know about this? How many people were actually seeking for help? How wounded this world really is? And mainly, how much had I seen life myself to talk about it? At that time, I hated myself for making impulsive decisions because I had no idea what I would do with this further. But then I saw the depth of this problem. Every 2 out of 3 deaths in the world is suicide. It definitely wasn't an issue to be neglected. People were approaching with questions and they deserved answers. There was no way I could act blind towards it. So I sat there, reading and writing back to each one. But you see, this wasn't something I chose to do. I never dreamt of dealing with things like this, things that are much beyond my level of understanding. But since I started it, I had to bring it somewhere. So I kept it going. As the mails kept increasing, I finally hit that point where I could no longer do it. Because honestly, it's hard to hear about pain and not feel it. And I was tired. I was tired of staying up all night writing and waking up hoping he's okay and she's alive. It felt too much at times. To get positive responses was one thing, but to see the mails increase each day was another. And that's when I realized that having right intention isn't just enough, choosing the right path equally matters. And I had chosen a path I wasn't prepared for. So I did what hard times demand us to do, to let things be and to trust in time. I knew if time had got me to this, then time will get me through this. It'll either make a way or show me some way. Unfortunately, that trick worked. After 5 months of talking to 84 different people on a daily basis, I saw that people had their expectations coming along. Few wanted to Skype, few wanted to speak over phone calls, and I was sure I didn't want any of it. And that's when I came across a website which dealt with issues like depression, self-harm, suicidal thoughts in a professional way. And I knew this was the right place to direct them all to. So I did. While few of them agreed, the few preferred to writing mails. So gladly, the mails have subsided for its own benefit. And I'm happy about it. Because I didn't want to end Hospital for Souls. It's something that I built. And you know, when you create something of your own, whether it's ugly or beautiful, you keep it. It belongs to you. So rarely once in a while when I receive mails, it's no big task in writing back. And as long as I was receiving mails from unknown people, it didn't matter much. But when I saw people around me write to me, people I met and spoke to every day, it was another twist in the story. It was sad to know that these people kept quiet all these years because they feared being judged and sympathized. They didn't want to be tagged as weak. Or worse, they didn't want depression to be their identity. And that's true, let's face it. Let's not sugarcoat it and say that we don't judge or we shouldn't judge. We all do. Don't we judge ourselves when we look into the mirror? It's quite natural. But judging someone over something they didn't have a say in is wrong. Because what we fail to understand is that depression is just like any other deadly illness. How nobody chooses cancer, nobody chooses depression either. No one wakes up one morning thinking, hey, depression sounds cool, I must try it from today. It's just something that happens to someone. When someone's battling cancer, we call them a fighter. When someone's battling depression, we call them weak. Why is there so much discrimination between physical illness and mental illness? We as society needs to understand that. Being in depression doesn't mean being sad when everything in your life is going wrong. Being in depression means being sad when everything in your life is going right. And that's the terrible part. So I guess it's time we start talking about depression to the society. Because people in depression, they know what it is. It's the others who interpret it in their own terms. It's human nature. The minute we see something we're unaware of, we either fear it or we degrade it. And we need to clear this misconception. We need to stop making people feel bad about feeling bad. Because there's nothing wrong in feeling so. Of course, depression isn't beautiful. But being in depression doesn't make you ugly. Depression is a burden. But having depression doesn't make you a burden. And to all those who have been there and seen it, don't blame yourself. Trust what you feel. Because your feelings are the truest and purest form of yourself, and they're completely valid. As much as you embrace happiness, there are days when you have to accept the pain too. We are all built that way. We break easily. We build ourselves up just to fall apart again. But that doesn't make us incomplete. Because the last time I checked, even broken crayons color the same. And forever, the greatest secret will always be to trust in time. Because time has its own way of dealing with things. It'll either get worse or it'll get better. Or it definitely changes. You will go from standing under the shower thinking, oh God, what if this goes on for the rest of my life? To, oh God, I hope this goes on for the rest of my life. It's been a year precise, and Alex's blog now says, clean from self-harm since a year. It's crazy how time masters everything. And that's the beauty of it. So the next time you think the world is ending, remember, every time the caterpillar thought the world's coming to an end, it turned into a butterfly. Nothing is permanent in life. Neither happiness, nor pain, or life. Like a sandcastle, everything is temporary. We build, we break. We build, we break. We build.